Today we're diving straight into our main topic, the training of awareness. This training aims to help you fundamentally resolve vexations, sever ignorance, purify karmic seeds, and ultimately return to your pure self-nature, realize the wisdom of emptiness, and achieve the goal of enlightenment and Buddhahood. And what's fascinating here is that all aspects of this training revolve around one core principle. Maintain awareness, abide in the present moment, and do not fall into dualistic thinking. Unquote. We have a fascinating stack of materials today that unpacks this journey, starting with incredibly practical exercises and moving to profound insights about how our mind works. This deep dive is custom tailored for you, and our mission is to distill the most important nuggets of wisdom from these provided materials. So let's begin to unpack this, okay? So when we talk about training awareness, it's easy to think it's all, very mental, very abstract. But our sources actually start somewhere quite physical, don't they? With balancing internal energy, KPI. How does it work as a starting point?
It really is foundational. Think of it like tuning an instrument before you play. You need that baseline energetic balance. The method itself involves specific nostril breathing, and it uses particular hand placements, visualizations too, and it's slightly different for males and females, which is interesting. It aligns with the body's, let's say, distinct energetic flows.
Oh, okay. How so?
Well, for males, typically you'd start by inhaling through the left nostril. You lift your left hand as you do it. Then you use your ring finger, usually the left ring finger, to gently press that left nostril closed. And you exhale slowly through the right nostril. And the key here is visualizing negative stuff, stress, pressure, whatever, just leaving your body.
Actively letting go.
Exactly. Then for the next breath, you switch. Lift the right hand, press the right nostril closed with the ring finger, and inhale through the right nostril. This time you visualize drawing in positive, clean energy. Then you hold the breath just for a moment. Visualize that good energy, that kui, just spreading everywhere, filling your whole body. Then you exhale completely.
And for females, it's the other way around.
Yeah, precisely. Females start by inhaling through the right nostril, right hand up, then press the right nostril, exhale through the left, visualizing the negative emotions leaving. Next breath, left hand up, press the left nostril, inhale through the left, drawing in the positive energy. Same hold, same visualization of phi permeating the body, and then exhale.
How often should you do this?
It's recommended maybe 3 to 5 times before meditation, but really you can do it anytime you feel stressed or overwhelmed during the day. The main purpose is to rapidly expel that stress, those negative emotions, and bring your ki back into balance. It's very immediate.
It really sounds like a quick reset button, like you said, tuning the instrument.
That's a great way to put it. Your physical state and mental clarity are totally linked. This breath work directly helps recenter you.
And this ties into something deeper, doesn't it?
Right.
Our sources mention 3 main energy channels or meridians. Can you unpack that a bit?
Absolutely. Think of these meridians, or mei as they're called in some traditions, as subtle energy pathways. There are 3 main ones we focus on here. There's a central one, often visualized as blue. This is crucial for what is called wisdom ki.
Wisdom ki?
Yes, kind of pure, insightful energy. It's linked to profound understanding. Then, on either side of the central one, you have 2 others. One is typically white, associated with carrying negative energy, and the other is red, carrying positive energy.
Right.
Now, the location of the white and red ones differs between males and females. For males, the white meridian is on the right side, the red on the left. For females, it's reversed. The white is on the left, and the red is on the right.
So that breathing exercise, by alternating nostrils and hands, is directly working with these specific side channels.
Exactly. It's designed to balance the energy flow in those left and right, red and white meridians.
And what happens consciousness-wise when they're balanced? What's the big deal about getting ki into that central channel?
That's the crucial part. When the left and right channels are balanced, ki isn't blocked. It can flow smoothly and permeate your entire system. And crucially, this allows the ki to enter that central blue meridian.
Right.
If there's imbalance, if ki gets blocked, maybe too much energy in the red channel, not enough in the white, or vice versa, that's when we experience emotional distress, greed, anger, ignorance. They're linked to these blockages. But when ki flows freely and enters the central meridian, that's when the potential for real wisdom opens up. You start to perceive the interconnectedness of everything. That's the realization of emptiness, kumshing. Not nothingness, but profound interdependence, seeing things as they truly are without the distortion of blocked energy.
Wow. So it's not just a feeling of calm, it's a shift in perception.
It's the gateway to true wisdom, moving beyond dualistic thinking, me versus you, subject versus object. Without that energy flowing centrally, you're kind of stuck in that separated view. It remains just an idea, not a lived reality.
That connection between the physical practice and deep wisdom is, really eye-opening.
Now, speaking of getting beneath the surface, the sources challenge a really common idea about where our problems, our vexations actually come from. We tend to blame external things, right? My job, this person, this situation. But the materials say the root is much closer to home.
Yes, that's a major point. It's completely understandable to think if I just change my job or move house, I'll be happy. And, sometimes a change can bring temporary relief, but it rarely solves the fundamental issue because the sources say the primary source of our suffering isn't out there. It's internal. It stems from ignorance, wuming, and these things called karmic seeds.
Karmic seeds stored where?
They're said to be stored deep within our consciousness in what's called the alaya consciousness, the eighth consciousness. Think of it like a vast subconscious warehouse. It holds all our ingrained habits, patterns, potentials, tendencies collected over lifetimes, according to these teachings.
Okay, the alaya, like a storehouse. Exactly. So external situations, the difficult job, the annoying person, they don't actually create the anger or frustration from scratch. They act more like triggers. They just activate the specific karmic seeds that are already dormant within that alaya storehouse.
That's quite radical. So the feeling was already the potential within me waiting.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
The potential, the seed, was there. The external event just provided the right conditions for it to sprout.
So if these seeds are the real root, does that change how we should approach problems? It's not about fixing the world out there.
It fundamentally shifts the focus inward. These karmic seeds are identified as the primary driver of our experience, even the cycle of rebirth, or samsara, not just future lives, but the moment-to-moment cycle of suffering and confusion we experience now. And the sources say, when these seeds are purified, the whole framework of the 6 realms of existence, it just dissolves. Because those realms are seen as manifestations of our own karmic consciousness.
The 6 realms, like hell, hungry ghost, animal, human, asura, heaven.
Those are the ones. And here's the really practical, maybe even confronting part. We experience these realms daily, right now. They're not just mythological places. They correspond directly to our momentary emotional states. It's like an emotional map.
Okay, that sounds intense. Can you give us the rundown? How do emotions map to these realms?
Sure. It's quite vivid. Anger and hatred, for instance, are the energetic signature of the hell realm. The texts even say this energy tends to accumulate physically near the feet and can lead to nightmares that feel hellish.
Oh,
Greed, insatiable craving, corresponds to the hungry ghost realm. That energy gathers behind the genitals and might manifest in dreams of constant lack or wanting. Ignorance, confusion, feeling lost, that's the animal realm. Energy accumulates in the abdomen. Dreams might be about being trapped or wandering aimlessly. Jealousy and competitiveness relate to the human realm, accumulating in the chest, the heart area, leads to those comparison-driven feelings and dreams. Arrogance, pride, the desire to dominate, that's the Yajura realm. Energy gathers in the throat. Think conflict, striving.
in heaven. That sounds good, but you mentioned it hinders awareness.
Right. Indulgence in pleasure, being scattered, lost in pleasant sensations that corresponds to the heavenly realm. The energy accumulates at the crown of the head. While it feels pleasant, the mind is too distracted, too dispersed in enjoyment to cultivate deep, stable awareness. It's still a form of being trapped, just a nicer prison, you could say.
So we're literally cycling through these states based on our feelings moment to moment.
That's the perspective offered, yes.
Yeah.
The realms aren't elsewhere. They are potentials within our own consciousness, activated by our emotional habits.
Okay, that's a powerful framework. So if the root is internal, these seeds, these emotional states, how do we actually work with them effectively? Suppressing them doesn't seem right, and just changing jobs isn't the answer.
Exactly. You've landed on the core practice. This is where awareness comes in directly. The fundamental instruction is, the moment any emotion arises, anger, joy, fear, anything, immediately abide in non-dual awareness.
Non-dual awareness. What does that feel like?
It means dropping the sense of a separate me experiencing that emotion. There's no subject, I, an object, the anger. There's just the arising feeling observed without judgment, without identification. It's like seeing the emotion clearly, but not being the emotion. You recognize it's there, but it doesn't define the space it arises in. This spacious, observing quality is our innate awakened nature, our benju. It's already present.
Okay, so not getting caught in the story of I am angry because.
Precisely. You cut through the story, the justification, the identification.
And how does this compare to what we usually do, like suppressing or maybe just venting?
Well, suppression, as you mentioned, just pushes it down. It doesn't resolve the seed and often makes it erupt more forcefully later.
Yeah.
It also creates this feeling of lack, of something being wrong inside. Indulging it, on the other hand, really getting into the anger, feeding the greed that actively strengthens the karmic seed. It digs the habitual groove deeper, leading to more suffering down the line.
So neither works long term.
Right. Non-dual awareness is the third way. When you meet the emotion with this open, non-judgmental awareness, it doesn't get pushed down or fed. Instead, the energy of the emotion naturally fuses with the awareness itself, and it dissolves, it releases. Crucially, this process prevents the emotion from planting new karmic seeds in the alaya consciousness. You break the cycle.
Can you give an example, like with physical discomfort or even joy? You mentioned joy earlier.
Sure. Say you feel a sudden wave of heat or physical discomfort. The tendency is to resist it. I don't like this.
Yeah.
Instead, you just turn your awareness toward the raw sensation of heat. No story, just heat. Observe it with that non-dual quality. Often, you'll find the intensity just fades. It dissolves back into space. And yes, even with joy, if you cling to joy with dualistic thinking, I'm so happy because I got this promotion, you're creating attachment, a form of greed. You're solidifying the I that possesses the joy.
Ah, I see.
But if you simply observe the feeling of joy rising with non-dual awareness, notice it, feel it, without clinging or creating a story around it, it too can be experienced fully and then dissolve naturally without reinforcing attachment or greed.
So it's about meeting all experiences this way.
Exactly. The result over time is developing an inner steadiness, a kind of unshakable peace and even joy that isn't dependent on external circumstances or internal states fluctuating. It comes from the awareness itself.
That's profound. Okay, so we apply this awareness to emotions, but you mentioned going even deeper to awareness itself. How does that work?
Yes, this is a more subtle but very powerful aspect of the training. It involves shifting attention from the objects of awareness, sights, sounds, feelings, thoughts, to the capacity of awareness itself. Think about your ability to see. Is that ability located in the thing you're looking at?
No, I guess not. The ability is here with me.
Right. The object appears, you see it, the object disappears, but the ability to see remains, doesn't it? It wasn't created when the object appeared, and it wasn't destroyed when the object left. Same with hearing. Sounds come and go, sometimes loud, sometimes soft, sometimes silent. But the underlying capacity to hear is always present. It's described as imperishable, busheng bumi, unborn and undying.
Okay, focusing on the seeing, not the seen. The hearing, not the sound. What's the practical benefit of tuning into that? My mind still wants to chase the sounds and sights.
That's the point. Realizing the stable background capacity helps your mind return to itself, to awareness, much more quickly. It stops the mind from getting constantly pulled out, getting lost, or running off with every little stimulus or passing thought. It helps you abide more continuously in the present moment because you're less likely to grasp onto the transient sense objects. You're anchored in the awareness that perceives them.
And this underlying, unchanging awareness, that's our true nature.
That's exactly what the sources point to. This imperishable ability to perceive is our true nature. It's called ziking, self-nature, bodhi zixing, awakened self-nature, zinsing, true mind. Different terms pointing to this fundamental reality within us.
So bringing these threads together, we practice awareness with emotions. We practice recognizing awareness itself. How does this integrate?
By consistently applying awareness to both to the internal states, like emotions and thoughts, and to the external objects perceived by the senses, you begin to resolve all vexations at their root. And there's another layer here from the teachings on the 8 consciousnesses. It suggests that everything we experience, both inner worlds and the outer world, are actually manifestations of our own mind consciousness.
Like a dream.
Exactly like a dream. In a dream, the world seems real, people seem separate, but it's all projected by the dreamer's mind. Realizing this deeply helps overcome dualism, that deep-seated split between me and the world, me and others. Seeing through that separation is key to understanding the interconnectedness of all phenomena Faji Tong Ti, everything arising from the same source consciousness.
That feels like a huge perspective shift. It connects back to what you said about meditative seats, too.
Yes, precisely. Even in deep meditation, the dhyanas, awareness is crucial. For instance, the joy you feel in the first dhyana often comes from pleasant physical sensations ceasing. In the second dhyana, joy arises from inner stillness as the first five senses quiet down. But if you cling to that meditative joy, this is bliss, you're still caught in a subtle duality. Awareness practice helps you experience these states without attachment. Ultimately, all suffering, all problems trace back to clinging to the idea of a separate, solid self Wo-ji-si. But this self is just a function of consciousness, not a fixed entity. Realizing no self, Wu-wo, is the ultimate resolution. Seeing through that illusion.
Okay, this all makes theoretical sense. But maintaining that awareness consistently, that feels like the hard part, especially with busy lives.
Right.
Is there anything practical, like a quick tool to help us reconnect?
Yes, definitely. The sources offer a very helpful, very convenient method, as they call it. It's a visualization practice. You visualize a white, luminous point mingdian, bright, clear white light.
A white point where?
In the heart chakra area, so middle of the chest, roughly behind the sternum where the central meridian passes.
And why visualize that? What does it do?
This luminous point represents your pure self-nature. It acts as a direct link, a sort of focal point or reminder, connecting you back to your innate awareness, your benju. The real beauty is its flexibility. You can do it literally anytime, anywhere. Waiting in line, sitting in traffic, taking a quick break at work, before sleep, even during meals, just for a few seconds or minutes.
So it's not like formal meditation.
Not at all. The key is to relax while doing it. You don't need to strain or concentrate intensely. It's a gentle reminder, a touchstone. Just bring the image of the bright white point to mind in your chest area.
And why white, specifically?
White universally symbolizes purity. It represents the inherent purity of your true nature, unstained by thoughts or emotions.
Okay, that makes sense for the color. But I'm curious, why a simple luminous point? Why not visualize something more elaborate, like a Buddha image or a specific mantra syllable, like you see in other traditions?
That's a really important distinction, and it circles back to non-duality. If you visualize a distinct, complex image like a Buddha figure, it inherently sets up a separation. There's the mind that is visualizing the subject, and the Buddha image being visualized, the object.
Duality again.
Exactly. It reinforces the observer-observed split, which is what we're trying to transcend. The practice with the luminous point, however, is aimed at fusion. The goal is for the observing mind and the luminous point to merge, to become one. When that happens, the duality collapses. There's no longer an observer and an observed, just pure luminous awareness manifesting.
And that is the goal.
That is the state of continuous innate awareness. That's what's meant by every moment is Buddha. It's not about becoming something else. It's about realizing what's already here when the dualistic perception drops away. Every moment you return to that simple point, that reminder of innate awareness, you're essentially breaking through ignorance. So it's considered a very direct, very fast, and incredibly convenient method for approaching enlightenment. Not as a distant goal, but as a present possibility.
Bringing all of this together. Okay, let's unpack this. So what does this all mean for you listening? This deep dive into the training of awareness reveals that the path to profound liberation and peace isn't about escaping the world, but about fundamentally transforming how you experience it, moment by moment. It's about recognizing that the problems and suffering you experience often stem not from external circumstances, but really from the internal workings of your own consciousness, these karmic seeds, this dualistic thinking.
Indeed. And as we've seen, by consistently applying awareness, whether it's balancing your energy with simple breath work, understanding your emotions as these karmic imprints, or even discerning the nature of awareness itself, you can genuinely dissolve the roots of suffering. You can cultivate this profound inherent joy and tranquility that isn't dependent on anything changing out there. So I suppose the ultimate question this leaves us with is, if your innate awareness, this luminous knowing quality, is always present, always available within you, what would it truly mean to live from that place, unburdened by duality, every single second of your life?